Hello, Honors Bio. I wanted to quickly go over this lab that we completed yesterday. I am planning on probably having you keep it just in case you want to look at it to review for the test tomorrow. So I probably won't grade it. I will just go over the answers again. There are some things on here that you may see on the test. So for your data, you probably should have gotten, well, I haven't used this app in a while. You should have gotten results similar to this. The distilled water, if you think about it, that should have 0%, no solutes within it. And then we had our potato samples. And if you remember those little black storage vacuoles, they have lots of starch in them. So there's solute in here. We don't know the exact percent, but we know there's stuff within these cells. We've seen it. So the water should draw in. And what happens then is there's a gain in mass. You should have seen then the opposite occur with the salt water, so you have this solution with lots of solute. You probably saw some of the salt at the very bottom of our beakers, and then what happens is since there's so much salt, the water is going to suck out of our potatoes, losing mass. Since you're losing water, you're going to lose mass. And then for your graphs, something I want to note is that you should make sure that you always label how you did your increments. They should be the same at the negative portion as they are as the positive. You don't change at all going up, down. Some people did like maybe by 2s here and then they changed it by 1s. That would be completely incorrect, so make sure you're always consistent. So your graph should look something like this. Obviously a huge loss in mass as you increase your concentrations, and then it's starting to slow down, and we'll talk about that today in class. So I'm going to quickly review the questions there. You can't see them on here, but I'll go through 1 through 4. So number 1, which solution could cause the potato to gain or lose mass? That's just looking at your data. Or, I'm sorry, gain the most weight. That should be your distilled. In this case, the water moved into the potato cell. I can tell this because it gained mass, or water. Which solution caused the potato cores to lose the most? That would either be your 3 or 5%. Looking here, it's both, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And that is where water is moving out of the potato cell. I can tell this because, again, losing mass. So on to the next page. Again, this isn't really a nice picture, but we can still go through the numbers. Number 5, look at your graph. Find the point where the line crosses the 0. So if I go back here, so 0 is, and I kind of messed up this graph by adding so much to it, but you can see 0 is here, so I can use this point and bring it down, and it's probably about 0.9% salt solution would be isotonic, so water's moving freely, it's not rushing into the cell where it's going to gain a lot of mass, and it's not being sucked out where it's going to lose a lot of mass. Looking at some that were turned in, a lot of people forgot or didn't follow the directions for number 6. So number 6 says on your graph. So you're supposed to actually draw on your graph. Extend the line. What would happen if you increased the salt concentration? Now going around, some groups said it would drastically drop. Well, you shouldn't make any assumptions. You should go by the trend of the line. And if you see, the trend is, from these 2 points, is it's leveling off. So I have to assume that will continue. And that is because if you think about it, there's not an infinite amount of water within these cells. There's a certain amount that it can hold, and once that's gone, there's no more. So I assume that eventually it would be that there's just no more water for these cylinders to be lost. Then on number 7, according to your graph, what would be the change in mass if a 4% salt solution was used? So we did not do that, but I can assume based on my line that it would probably be the same as 3% and 5% at a 0.9. And again, your data may vary, but again, your analysis, that's what matters. So you're using your graph correctly. So using this graph, I would assume it's a negative 0.9 loss. Number 8, why do we sprinkle our fruits and veggies? So if I have my nice, just use a strawberry here, and I'm adding water right onto this, there's a lot of sugar. So what's going to happen is it's going to go into these cells, making the fruit look plump and healthy. If you have water loss, that's when the plants start to look dry, kind of slump over, like celery, for example. You can put that in water and have it rehydrate, and it looks really great. So here you want to rehydrate constantly so the fruit and vegetables look healthy. Number 9, the distilled water surrounding the potato is hypotonic. Obviously, again, not a lot of solute for distilled water. It is a 0% concentration. Number 10, predict what would happen if you took the potatoes from the 5% salt solution and placed them into distilled water. We should get results similar to what happened here. Again, because distilled water, not a lot of solute, but our potatoes, that starch is going to stay in there. So if I add that, we should have water move into the cells, causing it to gain, just like our lab. Okay, now we have an IOD question here. So how would you describe the change in mass for cell B? Well, B, we see that it is losing water, so it's decreasing. Number 12, how would you describe the change in mass for A? Well, we see it increasing and then plateau, so it's kind of leveling off. And then number 13, what would happen, or what could explain what is happening to cell A from, it's supposed to be minutes, not hours, from 3 minutes to 8 minutes. There's a steady decrease in concentration outside and inside. Nope, there's no decrease. You're not seeing any change. There's a balance inside and outside of the cell. And that is when it is in equilibrium. And when it's in equilibrium, that's when water is going to be leaving and coming in freely, and there's not going to be that gain or loss. I hope this answered all your questions. Make sure you study. Have a great day.